All right, welcome to Seven Seasons Society. So, in this lecture, what I really wanted to talk about is something that I see a lot of new creatives and a lot of new business people actually struggle with. And this is a fundamental shift in how you see yourself. And by the end of these couple minutes, I'm going to show you how everything that you're struggling with really comes down to one core thing, which, as a creative, as a business owner, really comes down to a lack of confidence and lack of a plan. So let's go ahead and get started. What I want to talk to you today about is something where we look at price versus value. Now, I want to kind of go through the two different mindsets, right? One is a mindset of scarcity. The other is a mindset of expectancy. So when we start thinking about this, the individual, let's say that you work a 40-hour-a-week job. Let's say that you have no expectation that your salary will raise above a customary 3%. There will be no new side hustle. There will be no real change in your income. So we find individuals where there is a scarcity really operate on a price mindset. Now, as opposed to price, somebody with a business mindset, a business, has to focus on expectancy. Now, what does that mean? That means that we should be value focused, which means we have a constant expectancy that the market will continue to grow or change for the product that we provide. So when we look at this, we should be not looking at the price of things, but we should be looking at the value we get from things, because what ends up happening is we then, if we are price focused, may end up paying a higher price in the long term for that item because we didn't put enough out at the front. Let me give you an example. I have a rule in my business where if I'm going to spend $1 on the business in the first year, it has to return 10x. Now, advertisers have hated that because if I spent $1 on advertising, I require 10 back. If I spent $1 on software, I require 10 back. So if you come to me and you said that this particular microphone is $50, my challenge is to find $500 that I can make with that microphone. Now, you might say, well, I don't have $50. Okay, that's cool. So let's go ahead now and start with where you are. Let's start with the free software. And the cool thing, 10x of free is anything. Now, let's go through and you're saying, okay, Jeremy, so what you're telling me is I need to invest in Adobe. No, that is not at all what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you, Adobe is about $60 a month. Over 12 months, that becomes a $720 expense if you were to buy the Adobe suite. Now, at my 10x rule, you better find a way for $720 to make $7,200 in a 12-month period. And if you can't do that, the value of what it costs versus the reward that you're going to get is disproportionate. So you should then step down from the Adobe software and find an alternative that will allow you to return the 10x. Now, when we think about this, notice how one area, price focus, is around scarcity, but this value focus is around expectancy. So let's take Affinity Designer as an example. Affinity Designer is a $50 program. So if I spent $50 today, could I theoretically find a way to make $500 with Affinity Designer? Absolutely. You could do t-shirts, you could do vector art, you could do photo retouching, you could do a ton of stuff with that software. So the value of that software is probably a better value for people in a certain area than the Adobe suite. Now, I have entire lessons on why I don't necessarily recommend free software like Inkscape or GIMP or any of those. And it's because while free is a good price, many times you pay in the learning curve to learn those programs because the user interfaces aren't really well established. Now, I don't have anything against those programs. I started out in Inkscape, but what I would say is, you really need to look at the value of what you buy if you are going to move as a creative from somebody who is just merely a creative creating art into an actual living, breathing business. So for this one, we don't want to go too long here. I just want to kind of cut it here saying we are a price-focused people. What we really need to be, if we're going to make the transition to business ownership and really looking at our creative art as a business, we need to be value focused when it comes to the decisions that we make around what we buy for our business. All right, so if you like the video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. If you want more videos on running the business of art, like the channel. And if there's anything that you want to see around being a creative and bringing your business from here to here, certainly hit us up in the comments. We want to make content that's valuable. So on behalf of Seven Seasons Society, thank you for taking a look, and we'll see you in the next one.